You are standing outside the main entrance of one of the largest and most active French studios at 20 Avenue Gallieni in the small town of Joinville-le-Pont, close to the Pathé printing factories and the Saint-Maurice studios. The Pathé studios were to have a lasting impact on the history of this residential town. Formerly best known for its dance halls, the famous Guinguette, boat races, and the military gymnastics school, by the 30s, Joinville was commonly referred to as the City of Cinema. Let's go through the gates and enter the Joinville studios to take a closer look at their evolution. In 1908, Joseph Lewinsky, a Polish second-hand dealer, acquired a property in this quiet suburb, where he settles with his wife and 3 sons. The wooded site was vast, and we know from archive documents and aerial shots that the property included greenhouses, a vegetable garden, a pond and a grotto, as well as a substantial family home. A specialist in the rental of furniture and props for the theatre and cinema, Lewinsky decided to expand his activities, and in 1922 he built his first film studio. If you look to the right of the Lewinsky family house, you will see a 2,265 square meter building that was erected on the edge of the property along Avenue Gallieni. It housed 2 dark stages, one of which had a pool, dressing rooms, and a workshop for the construction and storage of sets. At the end of 1923, Joseph Lewinsky decided to rent his facilities to the Pathé Consortium Cinema Company, which renovated some of the interiors, built a carpentry shop, and increased the electrical power of the installations. But it was really from 1926 onwards, when the Ciné-Roman Company took control of Pathé Consortium Cinema, that the Joinville studios took off. Jean Sapin, a press tycoon and the new director of the Ciné-Roman Company, had an ambitious production program and embarked on a vast expansion of the Joinville site. If you look to the left of the Lewinsky family house, you will see a 5-story furniture and accessory warehouse, this alone at a surface area of 3,000 square meters, a large garage and a mechanical workshop, and a decoration workshop. Between 1926 and 1928, new buildings were erected along Avenue Gallieni. To the right of the Lewinsky house, a tall new building shelters a new stage equipped with a glass-walled swimming pool for underwater filming. In the front of it, a 200-seat restaurant for the film crews has been created, while the buildings behind it contain the production offices and studio management. If you look opposite the Lewinsky family house, you will see 2 other stages that were built as extensions to the existing ones. On the eve of the talkies, with 6 dark stages, 5 of which had pools, amounting to a total surface area of 3,583 square meters, the Joinville studios were by far the largest and best equipped in France. During the transition to sound, the external appearance of the buildings changed little. However, the central building underwent some refurbishment. The Joinville studios maintained this configuration throughout the 30s, a decade in which they were the most important film production center in the country. Production at Joinville had already slowed greatly with the outbreak of war. Only 2 films had been partially shot there since September 1939. Please look at stages E to G. On 29 February 1940, tragedy struck. A violent fire broke out on stage C, where the shooting of Hitler m'a dit, Hitler told me, was underway. Within a few hours, the central building of the studios had collapsed. There were no victims, but 6 of the 7 stages were destroyed, and all the studio's sound equipment was lost in the burning buildings. It was a major blow for the French film industry. A temporary stage was set up in the decoration workshop next to the carpentry base. As stage D has been spared by the fire, The studios now had 2 stages and, just as importantly, a vast backlot, once the site had been cleared of rubble and debris. The studios hosted a number of big productions that took advantage of the immense backlot. The most famous one was Marcel Carné's Les Portes de la Nuit, for which Alexander Troner created an enormous set representing a district of Paris with an aerial metro. Even though the resumption of production remained difficult for the French industry after the war, the Pathé Company nevertheless decided to modernize its infrastructure. In 1947, a vast 1,200 square meter sets were built on the site of the old E, F and G sets that had been destroyed by the 1940 fire, and new high-tech back projection equipment was installed. Now part of the France Studio Group, which included the Saint-Maurice, Place Clichy and Joinville studios, the Avenue Gallieni studios were back in action.